joining you once more from feeling blessed in this, the blessed month of Quran, the blessed month of Ramadan. We continue with looking at some of the stories from the Holy Quran, and we'll look at a final story from Surah Al-Baqarah, which refers to, again, Bani Israeel, but this is from after the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And so this is getting into the time of Prophet Dawood alayhi salam and Prophet Sulaiman. But just right before that, there was a prophet whose name is not mentioned in the Quran, but is mentioned in other sources. His name is Samuel or Shamuel. And at his time, the Bani Israeel, they had suffered many defeats to their enemies. And so then there was a point where they began to make excuses and said, if only we had a king to lead us into battle, we would be victorious. So this is from verse 246 from Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى إذ قالوا لنبي له مبعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله قال هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا فلما كتب عليهم القتال تولوا إلا قليلا منهم والله عليم بالظالمين. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces the story. He says this was the people of Bani Israeel from after the time of Musa alayhi salam. They said to one of their prophets, they said to him, if you just give us a king, we will fight in the cause of Allah, and we will be brave, and we will be united. Again, they're making an excuse for their own deficiencies. So they're saying, if we just have a king, we'll become united, rally around him, and we will fight in the cause of Allah. Then in this story, what we are going to get is seeing how Allah filters out the true from the false. Those who are just making claims with their words, and those who are actually willing to follow through with their actions. So right away, when fighting was prescribed upon them, after they said, we will fight, many of them, they decided we're not going to go out and fight. Even though they were just the day before saying, if we just have a king, we'll go out and fight in the cause of Allah. So this was the first filtering, where those were making claims, but they weren't up to their own claims. So this is something which we should keep in mind. So the same way, sadaqah is a proof of the claim of your iman. So because it is something dear to you, what is in your pocket, to take it out and give it in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a proof, this is showing the truth that it's more than just talk when we say that we believe in Allah and the reward of Allah, but now you are following through by giving in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which again you can do through the app Feeling Blessed. But let us return back here to the story. The next filtering comes in terms of the ego and the competition for position, which is the next test which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts for them. So He says to them, that is their prophet Samuel, he says to them that Allah has assigned Talut as your king. So this was a divine choice, divine assignment. Talut in English, we say Saul. He said, he will be your king. So right away, many of the elites objected because they wanted to be the ones in that position, not somebody else. And Talut was not from the higher classes and from the wealthy classes. So they said, أَنَّا يَكُونُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ عَلَيْنَا وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ. So how can he be king over us? Meaning they were feeling superior and arrogant. So how can he be a king over us? We are more worthy of kingship than him. وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ. So their prophet answered to them, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. This is the choice of Allah. Similarly, we see with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of his names is Al-Mustafa, meaning he was chosen, because there were mushrikeen in Quraysh who felt superior to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was an orphan, which would bring him down in the eyes of society. And also they felt that it should be one of the grand chiefs of Quraysh who should be such a position. But no, this is the choice of Allah. Same thing, the Jews in Medina, they did not want to follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not because they didn't believe he was a true prophet, but because they felt superior to him. They said, oh, he's an Ishmaelite and we are Israelites. So they looked down on the Ishmaelites. So it seems this is a pattern that Allah does. He chooses those that He knows are best suited. It is not based on the choice of the classes and socioeconomic factors in society. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna Allah astafahu alaykum. Allah has chosen him over you, and He has given him strength in both knowledge and also physically. He was a very strong individual. So, and Allah gives His mulk to whomever He wants. So when Allah gives you from His mulk, gives you from what He owns, there's a reason for that. He wants to see, what will you do with it? Will you keep it and hold on to it in a miserly fashion, or will you give it in a generous fashion? If you want to follow the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was ajwad an-nas. He was the most generous of people. وَأَجْوَدْ مَا يَكُونُ فِي رَمَضَانِ. And he would be the most generous in Ramadan. So what do we do when Allah gives us something of power or of wealth? We use that power, we use that wealth in a way that is pleasing to Him. And He is the most merciful, He is the most kind, He is the one who is taking care of all of us. So we should use it in that way that befits His beautiful names. So please, download the app Feeling Blessed today. Make your donation. More than 360 different charitable organizations doing great work all over the world. And also you can visit blessingup.com if you want to round up your spare change and give it to the charity of your choice. May Allah bless all of you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.